Welcome back. Once again, adventurers, let's play ChäoS Head. And in the last episode, all seemed lost for Takumi Nishijo as Sena threatened to finish him off. However, the revealed Gigalomaniac Rimi Sakihara had one ace up her sleeve. Using her own powers to project delusions into Sena's dead spots, she managed to pull that which Sena was seeking above all else. The man she was trying to kill, her own father, the man Sena referred to as Hatano. And with that truth revealed, Sena's will to fight had pretty much been extinguished. However, left in its wake was a damning accusation directed solely towards Takumi Nishijo. The truth that he was the one who had come up with the equation FUN to the power of 10 times INT to the power of 40 equals IR2. A formula that may or may not have been put in Takumi's head by someone else. But unfortunately, neither Sena nor Takumi nor Rimi, who is aware of this formula, are the only ones to know of its existence. For there is another that is fully aware of this diabolical formula, the formula that Shogun declared had destroyed the world's possibilities. Because this same formula lies with Genishi Narose of the Nozomi Group. And as he just said, it is incorporated into the device designated Noah 2.
これは人類史上、未だ回答が見つかっていないとされているもの。
ミレニアム7のうちの一つかね?
I don't know what the Millennium Prize is, but I doubt that it has anything to do with this particular equation.
億単位の懸賞金がかけられているという数学界で未だ未解決の7つの問題か。
Well, at least that gets the explanation of Millennium Prizes out of the way.
いいえ、その7つの中には入っていません。ですが、実はミレニアム7はもともと問題が8つあった。
それがノア2に組み込まれている方程式だと。
Sorry, I think I interrupted Ganeshi's little statement there, and by I, of course, mean the old man who just... We'll blame him.
削除された理由は?
世界に最悪をまき散らす可能性があるためというところです。
A possibility that, as far as Sena is concerned, has become reality.
一体どのような数式なのだ?
基本相互作用における電磁気力を想定した共鳴現象。それを表す計算式です。
Fundamental interaction.
これにより、特定の電磁パルスと受容体とが近接作用することで発現する未知の力が解明されました。各国が30年以上かけて開発し積み上げてきた沈黙の兵器の研究成果を一瞬にして過去のものとしてしまったんですよ。
その問題に回答を見つけた者は神になるに等しいというわけだ。
それを君が果たしたというわけかね。
Alas, for Ganeshi, he cannot take credit for that accomplishment. For the one who solved the equation of IR2 is none other than Takumi Nishijo himself.
それはとても不思議な場所から見つかりました。子供の落書きというね。
And Ganeshi knows of Takumi's essay, which means He has been on to Takumi Nishijou from the start.
IR2 ノア2のいわゆるハードウェア部分はこの公式によって神に匹敵する能力を手に入れました。あとはソフトウェア部分に相当するギガロマニアックスのコードサンプルを集めればノア2は本格的に稼働し我々の望むもの全てを実現してくれるでしょう。
かのアインシュタインが現代に生きていればと思うよ。彼は高い能力を持つギガロマニアックスだったと聞く。
Albert Einstein certainly was a genius, but I doubt he would appreciate being called a gigalomaniac.
家庭の話よりも現状がどうなっているかだ。ギガロマニアックスは世界中に数えるほどしかいないというではないか。大丈夫なのか？
すでに5人分のサンプルは確保しました。
They already have 5. Oh dear.
ノア2稼働に十分な数は集まったようだね。
Should be obvious who was experimenting on Ayase Kishimoto during her childhood.
ならば結構。
ただサンプルが多ければ多いほどノア2の能力は向上します。特にどうしてもサンプルを採取したいギガロマニアックスの少年が一人いましてね。
Simply put, if Ganishi manages to acquire Takumi's code sample, Noah 2 will be a terrifying weapon indeed.
だからといって計画の遅延は許されんぞ。
ノア2の本格稼働はいつ頃になりそうなのかね。
稼働前に最終実験として
Of course, these two men might have their suspicions, but little do they realize that Ganishi Narose intends to betray them once he no longer needs their services.
サードメルトを行います。
また地震を起こそうと？
予測規模は？
想定では関東大震災と同レベル。
関東大震災クラスだと？
マグニチュード 7.9 だったかな。
現在の建築基準と免震対策レベルを考えれば町にかつてほどの大きな損害を及ぼすことはないでしょ
う。だが犠牲者の数はファーストセカンドの日ではなかろ
う。およそ5000人ほどといったところです。少なく見積もってですが問題が。
In other words, they intend to continue their atrocities.
責任は貴様が取るのだろうな。
腹でも切って死んでみせますか？
Of course, neither of these three cares about the fact that 5,000 people will be killed by Noah in the wake of Noah 2.
これが最終実験です。サードメルトが予定通りの成果を上げたとき、ノア2は完全なる完成を見る。世界の可能性は我らの手の中に。
この公式をお前が生み出した瞬間、世界は分岐したんだ。分岐って。
This isn't an eroge.
タク、もう行こう。話聞く必要なんてないよ。
And of course, Rimi is still trying to suppress the truth, so that Takumi doesn't awaken to his gigalomaniac abilities. And yet, subconsciously, he already has, multiple times. Remy pulled my hand, entreating me to come in the room. A sense of desperation seeped out of her attitude. Remy was afraid of something. And it's time that you confronted her on that fear.
葵さんが言ってることは全部嘘っぱちだし。
Is it?
嘘はそっちだろ。
葵さん、もう帰って。タクの前から消えてよ。
Whose words that I believe. As much as it would pain you, you have to believe Sena.
たかが数式になんでそんなに目くじら立てるんだよ。
本当に何も分かってないのか。
On that front, Remy is telling the truth.
アインシュタインが唱えた E=MC の事情、これが発表されたことで核兵器が開発されるという未来が生まれたように。
Ah yes, E=MC².
お前の生み出した IR2 もまた E=MC の事情と同じ、いや、それ以上の影響力を世界に与えている。
And yet IR2 is far more terrifying. Perhaps even more terrifying than even the phone wave real name TBA and the time leap machine.
IR2 は沈黙の兵器を現実のものとした。
沈黙の兵器。
思考盗撮、視覚投影、五感制御。
That was the technology from the patent I'd researched all over the place, the one Sena had told me about.
ギガロマニアックスは特別。いや、異常ではなくなる。
In other words, not only will Noah 2 be a digital gigalomaniac, it would have the power to make everyone gigalomaniacs.
これからはこの忌々しい力を誰もが自由に使えるようになるんだ。IR2 を元に作られた装置によってな。もっとも、その前に一握りの腐った連中に独占され、人々は気づかないうちに家畜同然の立場になるよう洗脳されてしまうだろうが。
Except they already have. And Sena knows this all too well, and there is nothing that Remy can say or do. I didn't know. You say that, but it's got nothing to do with me. Even assuming Sena had spoken the truth, I hadn't deliberately planned on creating something so inconceivable. It was just a little kid's doodling. I haven't done anything wrong.
それなら、そのアイアーム2は
IR2。
それはギガロマニアックスの力のことをキュッピーンって説明したものなんだ。
Oh dear. Kozue never mentioned who exactly... Oh dear. You forgot to tell Sena something there, Kozue, because when you first met Takumi, you said that Sena was the one who told you about D-swords. Whereas in fact that wasn't true. Someone before Sena had told you about D-swords. Not necessarily about their use and how they operate, but the mere fact that they exist. Because Kozue has met Hatano before, not that she would ever known who Hatano was.
やっぱりあのおじさんが言ってたのは本当だったのら。一番重要なのはその目、誰の目を生み出した少年なんだって。それって匠ちゃんのコートだったんだね。
Kozumi's perky voice. I couldn't regard it as innocently as she did, nor did Rimi offer any reply. And, it's only a matter of time before Sena finally starts to connect the dots. Except Sena alone widened her eyes. Oops. Raised her face with a start. Swayed upright. Why was she unsteady on her feet? Maybe because of what Rimi had done to her earlier. Indeed. But also what she has just now learned thanks to Kozue.
梢お前今なんて言った？
ホビ
Sena pressed in on the puzzled Kozuki.
おじしゃんって誰のことだ？
コズピーに理想度の大切さを教えてくれた人。東京に来て初めて話した人なの。なんかね、ふぎゅーって鼻つまみたくなっちゃう格好してて、へんてこなこと書いた板持ってたの。世界は終わるとかとか。
You've only just realized too little too late.
なんでそれを早く言わなかった？
そんなこと言われても。
Kozue has a point, but the damage has already been done. Hatano has slipped through Sena's fingers.
あいつだ。やっと見つけた。
And this time, she intends to kill him for real. Rimi, Kozuki, and I, none of us had any idea what she was talking about. That statement is not true regarding Rimi. All we could do was dazedly watch Sena in her blood-curdling demeanor.
私はやっとあいつを殺せる。
But will it be worth it? A certain experiment took place, but she never knew of it. Oh dear. She was an ordinary housewife who had been blessed with her second child, not long before turning 40. No, perhaps she wasn't utterly ordinary. If nothing else, her eldest daughter was about to enter high school, and so there was a 15-year gap between her and the second child. The woman we are witnessing right now was Sena's mother, Hatano's wife. She had been slightly worried that her eldest daughter would feel some resistance to this, as though she were going through puberty, but on the contrary, the daughter rejoiced at her mother's pregnancy. Her husband, a scientist, rarely came home, as he immersed himself in his religion and his research, but he was a wonderful husband and father when at home. Hard to think that a research scientist would be religious, but I digress. That was why, though she had some dissatisfactions, her love for her husband remained unshakable. Their second child was born safely, an energetic little girl, 5 pounds and 11 ounces. She named her Mana, Mana Oi. Unfortunately, her husband received a job assignment away from home immediately afterwards. Her husband had absolutely nothing in the way of general homemaking skills, so they had to ask their reliable eldest daughter to go with them and help take care of him. She, who would now live out her days with the newborn Mana, just the two of them, moved into cheap corporate housing at her husband's suggestion. Originally she had lived in a suburban condo, but it was located inconveniently with respect to transportation. But the company housing, her new home, was in the best district in Shibuya, and many of her husband's co-workers' families lived nearby. Childcare was provided as well. Her husband had taken this into consideration so she wouldn't experience any trouble, just in case. This might seem like a fairy tale on the outside, but there can be no denying that Hatano had some secrets. And of course, there was only one company in this entire story which Hatano would belong to, the Nozomi Group. All the rooms in the company housing were spacious, and she took a particular liking to her bedroom, even though it has very plain white wallpaper. There was an enormous mirror covering the whole wall, and in the opposite wall there was an enormous window. She could gaze at the greenery of Yoyogi Park there. She soon befriended the lady living next door, and due to an exceptionally special treatment she received from the company, a housekeeper was assigned to her as well. She was satisfied with this lifestyle, in which she wanted for nothing, and she took pride in how it indicated the importance of her husband's position in the company. But that begs the question that needs to be addressed. What is the price of this luxury? 2 years later, though her growth was somewhat delayed, Mana began growing up cheerfully without contracting any major illnesses. She was very spoiled. If she did not hold her up against her breast, Mana would start crying piercingly. She herself had been in poor condition for about a month. She had an especially terrible ringing in her ears, and it bothered her practically all day long. I have 2 words to say to that. Ominous foreshadowing. Even then, she wouldn't let the housekeeper or her lady neighbor take care of Mana. In any case, she and Mana were attached at the hip and they never parted. Neither when they went to the toilet or took a bath. If she thought perhaps about having the housekeeper hold Mana for a bit, Mana would sense this with extreme sensitivity and burst out crying. That pulsing headache is sending alarm bells in my own head. On the contrary, Mana's reliance on her made Mana even more precious to her. But as a result, she continued to live a lifestyle in which she couldn't so much as take a step out of the house. The housekeeper and her neighbor helped support this lifestyle of hers. She was truly fortunate to have met them. Then again, the 2 of them were gradually beginning to act stranger and stranger. About a week ago, when they were chatting in the living room, her neighbor vomited without any warning. Disregarding her startle, the lady went flying outside. Because they hadn't encountered each other since then, she worried that maybe her friend had fallen ill. Serious alarm bells ringing off now. Thus she requested that the housekeeper go check on the lady's condition, When she conveyed this to the housekeeper, who had finished working and was about to leave, and said, "See you tomorrow," the housekeeper abruptly burst into tears, nodding countless times as she went home. There is something wrong here. Something truly wrong. That night, the tinnitus that had been tormenting her all the while grew more acute, and a splitting pain shot through her head. That tinnitus, that pain, is not natural. She tried to call an ambulance, but the phone wouldn't connect. Getting a real sinking feeling here. She went outside to seek the help of the lady next door, but even that caused her great difficulty. Her daughter wept violently, and her voice further stimulated her pain. When she desperately embraced Mana and endured her suffering, all of a sudden, the ringing in her ears and the weeping voice stopped. Her headache retreated as though it had been a lie. When she looked down, the child she held had become a mummy. Though she'd been crying so loudly a moment ago, at some point her body had decayed, dried up, and begun to give off a hideous smell. I would say that this is a delusion, a hallucination, but there is something in my gut that is telling me otherwise. Her heart broke before she realized it had been an experiment. The entire thing, from start to finish. A certain experiment took place, but it differed from what he had hypothesized. He was a scientist at the Nozomi Technology Company, a follower of the Church of God's Natural-Born Light, one of the central figures in Nozomi Technology's ultra-classified Project Noah, and the man who had deciphered FUN to the power of 10 times INT to the power of 40 equals IR2. In other words, Hatano never left. He's been here the whole time. And the device on the head of his wife is eerily similar, in fact, the same device that Ayase Kishimoto was put through. Although yet again, the interesting contradiction that a religious cult, the Church of God's Natural-Born Light, would be involved with something like Nozomi Technologies. He offered up his wife, then on the verge of childbirth, as an experimental subject, at the same time that this was an order from the revered founding father of his sect. It was also something that he himself had suggested in order to make the experiment a success. I'm guessing that whoever's in charge of the so-called Church of God's Natural-Born Light is the old man in the purple robes. It was called the Mana experiment, based on the codename given to the second daughter his wife had delivered. That's a very chilling statement, because that implies that Sena herself was born as the result of the Project Noah experiment. Entrusting his elder daughter, 15 years old at the time, to a church facility, he had spent 24 hours a day observing his confined wife and Mana. The room his wife had made herself think of as company housing was a test site prepared by Nozomi Technology, and the Noah 2 prototype he had developed was stationed there. Taking snapshots of people's thoughts, projecting images into their vision, controlling their 5 senses. The effects of all of these were being tested out on his wife and Mana, the human subjects confined to the experimental grounds. Everything that Sena has come to despise. The many ways in which electromagnetic energy affects the human body remained unnumbered, and naturally, he had planned to halt the experiment if his wife or Mana experienced any physical abnormalities. Unfortunately for Hatano, neither his church leader nor his fellow associate or any of them over at Nozomi Technology could care less. The experiment met with an accident soon after its commencement. A month after her birth, Mana died. The cause of the death was unknown. An accident no one could have prevented. A disingenuous statement if ever I heard one. Overwhelmed with grief, he sought to stop the experiment, but he wasn't permitted to. Of course he wasn't.
実に興味深いではないですか。
So said his employer, Genishi Narose. His employer had been speaking of the grotesque spectacle inside the test site. Refusing to acknowledge Mana's death as reality, his wife held the child's dead body and treated it as if it were alive. And in fact, her eyes reflected a living Mana. That was due to the influence of the Noah 2 prototype, and in a certain sense it was the ideal situation under which to test its performance, albeit in the most cruel and macabre way possible. They turned a deaf ear to his will. At last he began to think that perhaps continuing the experiment like this would be to his wife's benefit. How wrong you were, Hatano. The wife he saw through a one-way mirror lived out every day in bliss, embracing her child's corpse. She talked gently to the child while gazing at the greenery of Yoyogi Park, which was a fake projected into her sight from the wallpaper made to resemble a window that was pasted to the wall. The lady next door, as well as the housewife, were research team staff members who took care of his wife undercover. As long as the experiment continued, his wife's heart would never be broken. He told himself it was for his wife's sake. By lying to yourself like this, Hatano, the consequences are damning. Perhaps his heart had broken before hers did. At some point his goal became not to complete Noah 2, but rather to allow his wife to go on dreaming. But alas. And so his employer declared a sudden end to the experiment, which had continued for close to 2 years.
データは十分取れました。ノア2本格稼働は間近です。この実験ももう続ける意味はないでしょう。
In other words, Genishi, all he cared about was getting the data of Noah 2. To him, the fate of the Ayois was not even a consideration. He desperately resisted, but got branded a traitor and he was taken off the project. The day of the test site's closure, as their one kindness to him, they permitted him to be present, albeit tied down in the laboratory. And his eldest daughter, whom he had not seen in person for 2 years, was also compelled to attend. His daughter looked confused when she saw him.
父さん、これはどういうこと？母さんに何をしたの？
In this moment, it will be Sena's heart that will break.
母さんが抱いているのは一体？
He couldn't answer. Guilt over what he had done made him incapable of looking his daughter in the face. Meanwhile, the beginning of a ghastly ceremony approached. The neighbor had already become unable to endure Mana's putrid stench, and the housekeeper wept at his wife's words as she left the experimental site. Gruesome is the words to describe this spectacle. And yet even that is an understatement. And the equipment stopped, and the dream ended, and his wife broke. At the sight of her child, who to her appeared to have suddenly transformed into a mummy, she tore her head, ripped out her hair, dug at the skin of her face with her nails, and in the end began devouring her child's desiccated body. Laughing madly, she rammed her head into the wall, and finally, stabbing a kitchen knife into her eyes, died. His daughter screamed and cried, viewing the atrocity of her mother's last moments through a one-way mirror. However, it wasn't just Hatano's crime, it was Ganeshi Narose's, although at this moment in time, there is absolutely no distinction whatsoever. Researchers held his daughter up on both sides and pulled her away somewhere. He was not allowed to chase after his one remaining family member. He blamed himself, believing he had brought all of it upon himself, which unfortunately is the truth. Since the time 2 years ago when he'd made up his mind to continue the experiment, it should have been obvious to him, whatever his reasons may have been, that one day things would end up like this. Several days after his wife's death, he vanished. Now, no one knows where to find him. Or so it seemed. Because Hatano is still here, in the heart of Shibuya. A bedraggled, disheveled, homeless man with a sign with the words, "The world is ending." And that brings an end to this macabre episode of Let's Play Chaos Head. And when we return, adventurers, we are back with Takumi Nichijou, wondering what the hell is going on. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.